A blind spot in building your dream team. Now, this is for you if you are, whether you're a male or female. I know I coach women leaders specifically, but this works for both genders and any leader in general. If you are finding yourself with a team that isn't as proactive as that you would like, that isn't taking the time to, and I need to plug in a mic here for a second, that isn't actually able to sorry, distracted. The team isn't taking the initiative that you wanted to do, or even just simply you're missing out on your KPIs towards the end of the month, and they don't really seem to be all that motivated to go and get the results out there. So maybe they're not wanting to go outside the box in a sense of their normal daily actions to get the sales that they need to have, or to increase the quality of the product that needs to be done, or just to meet the deliverables on time. If any of that sounds familiar, then I want you to stay on today, because I'm going to share with you all about the blind spot that is getting in the way of you having that dream, proactive, initiative taking, KPI resulting team. And it's likely not what you think it is. All right, before I get into that, I do want to share there is going to be a masterclass. I'm going to share that next week on Monday. And it is all going to be all about how women that are overlooked, undervalued, can take their ideas from unheard to strategic influence and impact within 7 days. So if you want to get into that one, I will make sure to share the link as well, but it is www.kimreimakers.com/masterclass, and you can register for that. And it is a live class, so be there or be square, but you can always ask all of your questions. There's always a Q&A at the end. And I would love to see you there, especially if you are finding yourself being overlooked, or your ideas are kind of just falling on deaf ears. And you're like, well, really? And you've seen for the X amount of time that someone else has been promoted or shares your idea and then gets all of the, the credit for having such great ideas. All right, let's dive into this topic today on the blind spot that you're experiencing when you're building your dream team. So here's the thing I want you to consider. You have likely have a team, and they're coming to you with all kinds of questions that they want to have help with, or they are, they need to get some extra work done. And you're just like, when are you going to be able to pick up this yourself? When am I, as a leader, not going to end up having to pick up the mess, but that really in the most positive manner, you come to me with a problem and have the solution, and either you give me the options as to and give me the recommendation which option is the best, or you've even just solved it before I even knew and was aware of that was a problem. Now, isn't that the dream for any leader or manager that's out there? And if you're finding yourself asking yourself, well, when do I get a more proactive team, or when will they see what's the risks that are involved, or that we're not making our KPIs, and then go above and beyond to start taking action? Well, here's the thing. This is the blind spot that may be happening that you're not even aware of. And it has to do with you. Because I want you to really consider, when you're looking at this, if your team isn't being proactive enough, if they're not taking the initiative, if they are not, for example, when the sales have slowed down and they're not going out there reaching out to new clients or getting creative in how could they can generate new sales, the question can also be, well, how are you leading yourself? So how do you expect to have a self-directed team, or a proactive team, or one that takes initiative, when you may not be leading yourself in that way? That one hurts, doesn't it? Now, here's what I want you to, here's some signs of this. And this is a conversation that I have with many a leader. And don't get me wrong, I think every one of the leaders that I work with are phenomenal women. They are amazing. They are brilliant. And at times need support, just tweaking things here and there, because they're not seeing the results they want, either in their career or within their team performance, or even the mix between how to manage the career and their personal life all together so that their ambitions don't get in the way of their personal well-being. So you might be finding yourself that, for example, if you feel good about your leadership role, there's some signs that you're not leading yourself in a way that leads to a self-directed or initiative or proactive type of team. Is that you're only going to be feeling good about your leadership role when your team and you are meeting all of your targets. So you're all rah, 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 excited, and congratulations, amazing, we've reached the target, but it's like quiet as a mouse when things aren't going quite as well. You're likely also avoiding difficult conversations so you keep the peace. And another big reason I found is, well, I don't want to risk having a bad employee engagement survey result at the end of the year. So let's just make sure that we stay friendly and nice, and I don't want to rock the boat too much. Well, when you're avoiding those difficult conversations and you're not rocking the boat and you're worried about an employee engagement score, is it any wonder that you are not finding a team that is proactive, taking initiative, that is getting results? And a little bit in the same vein, you're also not holding anybody accountable for their commitments, for the results, for their KPIs, because you're avoiding wanting to be the bad guy in that situation. Again, playing into that, you want to be liked, you want to be nice, you want to ensure that your employee engagement results are positive. But here's the thing, when you're doing any of these three things, and if all of these three things are happening, then you shouldn't be surprised that your team performance is going to falter. Because here's the thing, if you want to have that proactive, initiative seeking, that problem solving, that results getting team, you have to embody that standard and raise that standard to where you want it to be. So I was reminded a few days ago that most people, even leaders themselves, want to be led by someone because it gives you some comfort, some security. So if you are not leading, then and you're not very clear on and steady in who you are, what you value, and you're lacking the confidence in your own leadership skills, I can tell you all of that makes for a very shaky foundation when it comes to really stepping into that leadership role and being the leader that your team needs and that to get the team that you desire. So no matter what is happening in terms of the results that are going around you, if you are still, for example, one thing you can do, you can still celebrate team accomplishments even when the results haven't been as they should have. We all have quarters, months that are a disappointment, and still find ways to both celebrate what was done well. Maybe it is celebrating team members taking innovative decisions or being creative in how that they have set out actions to take to meet the KPIs, to make the goals. So maybe they were doing additional creative, I wouldn't say bookkeeping, but creative sales tactics or thinking outside the box in terms of the potential clients, and that led to some additional sales. You may still have fallen short of the end target, but you can recognize that aspect. In the same vein, you also want to recognize and hold accountable the people that may not have delivered the results as expected, who did not meet the expectations or their KPIs, and you hold them accountable. So when you're looking towards creating and building that high performance, that proactive, that initiative taking, that results getting team, the first place you need to look is to yourself and how are you leading. So hold your team accountable. You don't want to shy away from those difficult conversations. And if that's a struggle for you, guess what? I can help with that. So feel free to reach out and DM me and we can have a conversation around that. And the second one is set high standards. Make sure that you're setting the bar high for yourself and you're maintaining it both for you and your team. And these are all topics that come up within the Leadership Edge formula. And this is what I work with clients with. So for again, if you're really struggling with how do you manage a difficult conversation, I may add that as a topic for another day. There are ways that you can approach this conversation. You can have the difficult conversations. You can hold people accountable and still not walk away being the bad guy or someone not liking you, for example. There are ways that to hold those conversations. And most often, the biggest thing here is we haven't actually learned how to do them, because we have, as a whole, and society is very much about wanting to be collaborative, is we've never really been set up in a position that you have to learn those skills. So you've gone into a leadership role. You are now all of a sudden finding yourself, oh, my results aren't where they want to be. And yet I don't know how to talk to people in a way that gets them both to listen, to engage, as well as to follow through and get the end result that you are looking for, that makes both you as well as your team member successful, or the person that you are having that difficult conversation with. So just to wrap it all up, because I don't even know how long we've been at this. When you are looking at creating that high performing team and you are missing a team that is taking initiative, you're missing a team that's proactive, you're having a team that's not getting the results, and of course, extenuating circumstances always occur, but let's be realistic. Are they being creative and innovative in order to get to the results that they're already getting, or is that lacking as well? Then it may not be just on your team. A biggest thing that gets overlooked, the biggest blind spot that I've seen, is how you are leading yourself and how you are showing up as a leader within your team. So in order to get that team, that high performing team, to get that team that is proactive, that is taking initiative, that is getting results, here's a few things you need to do, right? So let's talk about 3 things. So we've already covered it. You need to get clear on what are your standards, your expectations, your values, and who you are. And then you need to hold that standard and live that standard. Okay. So you set high standards for yourself, you communicate them, you make sure everyone's aware of it. And then this is oftentimes the hardest part. You need to hold that standard, hold that for yourself, as well as expecting your team to live up to that. And finally, live that standard. So if you need this, always save this video as a refresher. And as always, just a quick reminder that there is a masterclass next week on Monday. It is at 12:30 p.m. Central European Time or 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And it is all about how undervalued women can take their unheard ideas into strategic influence within 7 days. And I know this is a really impactful masterclass I'm sharing. And it even touches a little bit on the conversation that we've had today in terms of how do you have conversations. So it's a little bit of a different angle in terms of communication, and you can still get a lot out of it that would help you with getting that high performing team as well. So if you've got any questions, as always, drop them in the comments below. Feel free to DM me with any questions. My inbox is, as always, a very safe place for women in leadership who want to ask questions, who don't want their bosses, their colleagues, or anyone else seeing they've got a question on this topic. I understand. I totally get that. So drop me a message in my inbox and we will have a conversation on that. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you again.